We're streaming now.
We're streaming now. Oh, oh man. I said this earlier, guys, but like my PhD is way easier than this stream every week. I don't know why, but I feel
Yay!
like I have a stats exam on Monday that I am less concerned about than I am about our streaming tech.
Uh, and that's
So
saying
that's
something about a stats
There's
exam.
literally
so yeah, this is Nature Check. We try to do science in D&D live because we're masochists. My name is Sheryl, and as previously noted, I am a PhD student in ecology at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I just started my PhD, so yeah, maybe that's why it's easier than streaming. I don't know. When I'm not doing ecology research, I make biology, ecology, and environmental science videos over on the Roving Naturalist on YouTube. And I am the dungeon master for this game of Nature Check D&D. Now I'm going to have the players introduce themselves. We'll start with Ryan, who wasn't here last time.
Hello, my name's Ryan. I'm an entomologist. I'm the Associate Director of Integrated Pest Management at a conservatory here in Pittsburgh. I also do everything related to integrated plant health care. So it's bugs, but it's also plant nutrition and diseases and horticulture and arboriculture and all of those things. And yeah, that's it. And I play Fletcher in our game, a human wizard.
Yes, you do. Next on my screen is Peter.
All right. What is that noise? Is everybody else hearing that noise?
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Song
it's
something?
me. It's like we're doing construction. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
It's okay. It's okay. So my name is my name is Peter, and
I like literally showed up, and they're like,
my name is Peter, and it's
I
way
love it.
easier for me to stream than it is for Nancy. um, I'm an agriculture agent in Maryland with the University of Maryland. Means I teach agricultural science to farmers and the public. I'm an entomologist, and I also am the managing editor for the University of Maryland Extension Publications Program. So I oversee the process of peer reviewing fact sheets and things like that for the University of Maryland Extension Program. Um, and I play Cedric, who is a dwarf cleric of the Church of Moradin, and he would very much approve of all the hammering that we're hearing right now.
I'm guessing that means you can hear Nancy.
I can hear Nancy.
Neat, because I can't. But I'm going to let her introduce herself next, and you can just tell me when she's done.
Okay. I can't hear her
I'm
right
like
now.
muting myself while the chaos is happening, but I can't see or hear Sheryl.
Okay,
Introduce yourself, Nancy.
she just said she can't see or hear you, so she wants you to introduce yourself now.
Hi, my name is Nancy. I'm gonna try and do this as quickly as possible before the construction starts again. I'm an entomologist, which means that I study bugs. I live in Quito, Ecuador, except for right now where I'm at the coast. And I do personalized tours of insects in Ecuador, which is usually sometimes quieter than it is now. But never for our streams, ever.
Okay, Nancy, thank you for that. Kicking it back to you, Sheryl.
I heard part of that via the live
I
stream, so I guess
can't
it's good we're
hear
streaming.
or
Next,
Back to
will
Sheryl
be-
in the studio.
This is the worst. But there's another group of people I'd rather be doing it with. We'll have Joe introduce himself next.
Hi, I'm Joe. I am a doctoral student at the University of Wyoming. I am studying weed science, trying to figure out how weeds really hurt crops. I am also doing some really cool toxicological work, which if you are going to be at the ESA conference this year, definitely stop by and I will chat you up about that. In this game, I am playing Lucanus, our resident elf barbarian.
Woohoo! And oh goodness. And last, but certainly not least, we have our special guest, our very first special guest, joining us again for a second night. That's Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Peach. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the University of British Columbia, as well as a director of the Entomological Society of BC. My background is in insect sensory ecology, with a focus on mosquitoes, and I'm about to dive into some genetics and genomics as part of my postdoc work.
That's fancy. And you can at least give us your character name this time.
Sure. So I play Bedwyr, a barbarian of the Ibixians.
Nice. Alrighty. If you are watching us right now live on Twitch or on Periscope, first of all, thank you. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for watching. We really hope that you'll enjoy what you're going to see this evening. And secondly, if you have any questions for the cast, please put them in the chat on Twitch or Periscope. I have my laptop right here in front of me, so I will be doing my best to try to catch your questions in the chat, and we'll try to answer them midway during the game or when we take our break or whenever. Also, if you're watching, hey, thanks for being here. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to do the thing on the socials where you share the fact that we're streaming with your friends, your enemies, your family, whoever you think might enjoy this game, that'd be really cool. We would like to get as many people watching the game and chatting as possible so that we can all learn together. I am simultaneously calling Nancy back on the call to see if we can get her reconnected to the stream. If you really like watching us, consider coming to our first live in-person event. That's right, the very next time we play, oh god, the cast of Nature Check, so that's Joe, Nancy, Peter, Ryan, and myself, plus 2 special guest players, will be playing D&D at the very same table in the party room of the Urban Chestnut Brewing Company's Grove Beer Hall location on Saturday, November 16th at 6 p.m. Central in St. Louis. We'll be using the stickers Nancy just got printed in order to give out beer discounts to those who come to watch the game, and there will be opportunities for audience participation, so it's going to be a really good time. Of course, if you can't be there with us in person that night, the game will still be streamed on Twitch and Periscope Live as well, so don't worry about it. You'll be able to see us regardless. Yeah. If you really, last bit of housekeeping, I almost read that section of my notes twice because that's the kind of night it's being. Last bit of housekeeping is the socials. You can find Nature Check on Twitter at CheckNature, so follow us there for updates and things. And please subscribe or follow or whatever Nature Check both here on Twitch and on the YouTube channel. Follows and subscriptions really help us grow the project that we're working on, and it lets us know that people are actually watching and engaging and appreciating what we're doing, which is good for player morale. Also, it will let you have access to everything because every game session will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. And you'll also be able to find our after show recaps, our nature chats there on the YouTube channel, so definitely go check that out. You can also access the game and the nature chats everywhere you find podcasts, so give us a listen and share us with your friends and your enemies. You can also find the social media details for all of tonight's players down in the reference section below the Twitch thing. Yeah, we are not too far away from the Entomological Society of America's annual meeting, where we will be playing live, but I know a whole bunch of people in this group are running symposia or giving talks, so everybody want to plug those briefly? Ryan,
So,
I know you're running a
I'll
symposium.
go.
Yeah,
I guess,
So,
you want me to go first, or
um,
you go first, Ryan?
I can go. I have a bunch to go through. I'll be running 2 social media workshops for entomologists who want to either start getting into or learn more about using social media for science communication. I'm running those with Carly Reagan. I am running and speaking a symposium along with my co-organizer Lindsay Iglesias, and it is on non-academic careers in entomology. So we'll have people from industry, local government, military entomologists, all doing talks, and then we'll have a poster session as well in the middle of the symposium so people can interact and talk with people about their jobs. So like Peter will be there talking about what it's like being an extension agent, and Nancy will be there to talk about what it's like running your own entomology business, and doing it internationally, and all the things that she does. And then on Sunday night, if there's any entomologists out there listening who are going to be at the meeting, our entomology tweet up. It's a unofficial one this year. They were unable to put it together. So I have organized that, and we'll be meeting on Sunday at 8:30 at Flamingo Bowl, which is about a block and a half from the convention center. It is a bowling alley / bar / restaurant. So there is something there for everybody to do. We'll be there at 8:30 till whenever people want to go home. And I think that's everything I have.
Good. I'm glad you're saying until everybody wants to go home, because I have to volunteer that night, and I was super sad. I was like, oh no, I can't miss the tweet up.
Oh no, people are usually at the tweet up, like for a good amount of time. I probably won't be, because one of my our symposium is early the next morning, but I'll definitely be there, for a while, starting at probably around before 8:30.
I don't think I've ever spent less than 3 hours at one of our tweet ups.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, and people show up all night after they go to other dinners.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're there if you're getting there at 9:30, it'll be peak people who will be there till 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I definitely got home from the Portland tweet up at 2, pretty sure. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, you had things you wanted to advertise?
Yes, I did. And I'm sorry for cutting Ryan off. The lag in my thing can sometimes be, plus just my general naivety about these sort of things. Anyways, so on Tuesday at about 3 o'clock, I am going to be on a SciComm panel with Sheryl talking about multimedia SciComm. And on Wednesday the 20th, I am going to have a poster hanging up that talks about some of the patterns in the overall toxicity of insecticide treatments over the past 30 years, which is actually a lot more interesting than it sounds, because it turns out that a lot of our big breakthroughs in how we manage insects haven't really done much for toxicity in the over the past 30 years. So there's more details there. That's sort of the clickbait version. Also on the 20th, I am going to be giving a talk titled Communicating Science in the Era of Misinformation, and I am going to be focusing very heavily on what I've learned about my mistakes over the past 20 years, or 12 years of science communication experience. I've been doing SciComm a long time, but not that long. And then between 5:30 and 8:30 that night, November 20th, I will be, as part of a speakers group, talking about outreach from various angles as small independent people like me, industry, academia, all sorts of stuff. I think I'm actually going to be at that dinner with May Berenbaum, which is very intimidating. And then that's it. So
Nice.
Yep.
Peter, are you doing anything?
To promote?
Oh, I can hear Nancy. What's up, Nancy?
Yeah. So I have a booth to promote my tours. So y'all should stop by they're not called exhibit halls. What are they called for us? I forget what they're called. Or they're called exhibit halls, not dealer halls. All right, we'll be in the exhibit hall with a booth promoting SciBugs stuff. so y'all should come and at least say hi. And I will also be competing in the Antlion Pit, which is like, I think anyone can show up to that. I don't know when it is. I haven't actually looked at the schedule yet. I need to like make sure everything's organized. But anyway, I am competing in the Antlion Pit for Cybex as well, so you should come by and watch that. And I think I am also in Sheryl's panel, as long as it doesn't overlap with anything else, which, as we just established, I haven't looked at the schedule yet. So we're getting there.
Nice. And since two people have already mentioned it, in addition to running Nature Check, and in addition to giving an oral presentation of my master's research on Monday, I'm also running a mini version of the ComSciCon workshop for graduate students, by graduate students, all about science communication on Tuesday during EntSoc, and a whole bunch of the Nature Check people are there because I know them and I know they do SciComm. So.
Yeah.
And yeah, Peter, what are you doing?
Well, I think it's already been covered. I'm gonna be presenting a poster at Ryan Symposium on what it's like to be an extension agent. So y'all should definitely come drop by if you've ever considered that, or if you have never considered it and yet you think that it might be nice to have a job after getting your graduate degree. I will give you all of the nitty gritty about the realities of working in extension from my vast experience. And then I'll also be talking at the panel, Sheryl's panel on science communication, where I will probably also give you lots of nitty gritty details.
Because these people
I mean, really, just go the thing to talk to Peter. He's that cool of a guy.
I just have that little of a filter. You'll be able to get all of the truth from me.
Yeah. Even if you aspire to homelessness, which is, a perfectly valid choice, he's still fun to talk to. So.
We can talk about foraging for edible plants. There are lots of I would if you want to live a more nomadic lifestyle, we could definitely get into that.
Urban camping, isn't that what they call it now?
Yeah, it's not a worse life plan than some of the growers that I deal with as an extension agent. So it's yeah.
Speaking of nomads, Dan, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I'm not going to be at the ESA meeting this year, unfortunately. However, anybody who's listening and looking for a potential place to do grad school, or any undergrads in Vancouver who are looking to get some lab experience, the Ben Matthews Lab at UBC is recruiting. So either look us up on Google or hit me up on Twitter, DanPeach3, and we can talk more about that.
And if you'd like to learn more about what it's like to work in Dan's lab, you can listen to Nature Chat number 6, where we talk to him about how he feeds mosquitoes.
yeah, that's really the draw.
We're gonna be
the draw.
We're going to be artificially feeding them now.
Oh, okay.
Until we get that new grad student, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what undergrads are for?
Right.
Oh.
They're less expensive than that artificial feeder.
I mean, you give them a letter of recommendation, they'll do
anything.
I say that as a joke, but it really is a highly problematic view that a lot of scientists have of undergrads.
That's true.
Yeah, there are numerous ethics regulations in place that undergrads are not allowed to feed the mosquitoes.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with all of that mess out of the way and self-promotion and whatnot, let's get this thing started. As my friend Mark's D&D game opened this past Sunday, sometimes we play Dungeons & Dragons here on Nature Check.
Sometimes, eventually.
Sometimes, eventually, we play D&D. So let's get started. Civilizations grew, flourished, and fell on the continents of Lacedas for hundreds of years. But in the year 885, everything changed. Where once the gods of the pantheon held sway over various continents and made their presence known in frequent and tangible ways to mortals, now a dread silence and emptiness reigned. Civilizations fell into internal turmoil, and tensions mounted between empires. The faiths of nations were shaken, and new versions of old religions began to sprout. Spells once commonplace and relied upon, those that required the gods' particular attentions, no longer functioned. Access to and contact with all other planes disappeared or seemed blocked. The continent of Arda, still colloquially known as the God's Garden, was once the sacred and protected realm of Obed-Hai and Ilana. At the moment of the loss, the strong protective spells surrounding the continent fell, and the shores and interior became accessible to any who wished entry on whatever business. In 952, a ship from the Tenebrian navy took shelter in the large river mouth at the southeastern corner of Arda, and the sailors erected a small fort for protection. Over the years, the fort grew into a town, and the town grew into a small city. While Tenebria officially holds no claim over Arda, no outside nation has yet claimed dominion over the continent, New Sagester is, for all intents and purposes, a Tenebrian colony. This morning, you made some new friends. The farmer, Silas Cooper, was in the Marked Bird Tavern complaining about the mysterious deaths of his livestock. You all offered to go out to his farm and investigate, discovering that the cows and pigs appeared to have been sucked dry. You met an Ibixian, or goatfolk person, named Bedwyr, who provided the insight that perhaps the animals had been attacked by stirges, a monstrous mosquito-type creature that prefers to lay its eggs in wet or flooded areas. Silas's neighbor, August Timber, had just started flooding his farm fields to grow rice and sugarcane, so you all went to the Timber farm to see if you could find the source of the scourge. Fortunately, you did find a group of stirges and managed to kill most of them. Unfortunately, August Timber is now lying dead at Cedric's feet. It is mid-afternoon on Oladamum, the 26th day of Mistrun in the year 972.
Bedwyr's going to start wiping stirge guts off of himself.
Yeah, you got sprayed pretty bad in the last one.
Oh, and I believe Bedwyr lost his throwing axe, so he'll sort of shake his head, let out a little snort, and start loping over to find it on the ground.
Great.
Is his wife there with us?
No, she was still on the porch of the farmhouse when you guys walked past. She just gave you directions to the field.
And what's the farmer's name? The not dead one.
The not dead one is Silas.
Silas.
He sort of hung back while that whole thing happened.
Right.
It was over pretty quick. I think it was only 4 or 5 rounds.
What was the dead guy's name?
August Timber.
August.
I guess Cedric kind of calls for Silas to come over.
What happened to him?
Well, we did everything we could, but those creatures just
we failed to protect him. They just took him out too fast.
Yeah, they just drained the life right out of him.
He sets his face. You can tell this guy is not a stranger to hardship, living out here on sort of the edge of quote unquote civilization, on this frontier farm. He just sort of sets his face and so I was right. They can do that to people too. Yeah, it's good to know. Well, I guess we should take him on back and see if there's anything we can do for Danella.
Yeah, I'll carry this end.
All right.
Lucanus picks up the other end.
Okay.
I feel like that's super imbalanced. Like the guy's like.
So this poor guy's being carried like this when he was just killed.
Right.
Cedric, what's your strength modifier?
It's a good question. +1.
Okay, yeah. So you're both able to carry it. And so it's not that Cedric isn't able to lift his half of the body. It's just that he's a lot shorter than Lucanus.
Yeah, there's a definite ramp thing going on with this body.
Which end is the ramp at? Does Cedric have the head or the feet?
I think
I kind of imagined him picking up the feet.
Okay. All right. Great. So now I'm covered in sturge guts, blood, and mud from like the guy's feet. Just like muddy water.
That beautiful crisp white shirt you had once.
Yeah.
You're like a character in a Johnny Cash song. It builds.
I was thinking
like poor Cedric's shirt.
I was thinking more like Pigpen and Peanuts.
Oh.
Pigpen was covered in blood.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, that dark and gritty Charlie Brown reboot sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, you guys didn't know that DC bought the rights to the Charlie Brown comics. It's a new show on the CW. It's right after Riverdale.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now we have like sexy, violent Pigpen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's Cedric. He's super sexy. Everybody thinks Cedric is sexy.
The Peanuts, but all grown up.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I was thinking more a boy named Sue.
Cedric?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
So yeah, we're just gonna carry this corpse back to his wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bedwyr will sort of follow a few feet distant.
Paige is like following along, thinking
Okay.
of life.
So you guys are following behind the two carrying the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Fletcher?
I mean, yeah, I'm coming with.
Yeah, in case you don't remember, you had kind of a rough battle. Your spells did not hit their marks really ever, which was unfortunate.
Also, you lost a crossbow bolt.
Oh, huh. Isn't that convenient?
Yeah,
Almost like I was being played by something willy-nilly that didn't care about my life.
Oh no, he cared about you not dying. He rolled real bad for your attacks.
I could have played you like a cleric and had you run. I mean, I could have played you like Cedric. You could have run in there and tried to hit it with a staff or something.
With my quarterstaff,
Yeah.
a flying thing, try to hit with my quarterstaff.
If the wizard is hitting things with their quarterstaff, you know it's going poorly.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, maybe Fletcher has entomology skills. I'm pretty good with a sweep net. I feel like there's a lot of parallel there. Like
That is true.
you could do some damage to a flying insect with a staff if you know what
That's
you're
our
doing.
plan for next NSOC. We're gonna have a whole day of events like D&D, like feats of skill. People can come out and try.
I want to do a Dungeons and Dragonflies at an ESA meeting sometime.
Oh,
That'd be really fun.
that'd be so good.
It's just hard to organize.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we've got marching order is our Lucanus and I guess it's Cedric. You're walking backwards carrying the feet, and then Lucanus with the head, and then everybody else behind you guys. Do you want Silas or someone going in front? Like, what's the story there?
I think
I'm walking in front.
I-
Fletcher's a very fast walker, so I feel like they're moving slowly with this body. So
Okay.
it's awkward. It's all kind of floppy. It's like I feel like it's kind of sagging down in the middle.
Both kinds of awkward, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys head on back across the fields to the timber farmhouse. You can see, like, because you're a group of people, Danella sees you and kind of stands up on the porch even before she can really, like, make out what's going on. I don't know, Fletcher, how far ahead are you walking?
like just in front of them, so I wasn't getting like
Okay. So you're not,
slowed
like,
by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're not like going up to meet her like far in advance of them or anything.
No.
Okay. So she sort of, braces herself on the rocking chair and gets to her feet, and sort of looks out at you all and is just sort of silently looking and just like taking in the scene as you walk up to her.
I feel like this is where Cedric says something.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you this.
What? was that, Nancy?
It's up to her.
What was that, Nancy?
I think she said K goes up to her.
Oh.
That's all I
Yeah.
heard.
Okay.
Yeah. We have.
Did we lose you,
Yeah.
Nancy?
Well-
Dan has also been trying to reconnect.
Yeah.
Oh.
He
Oh,
said
I
his
didn't
laptop died. His laptop died.
Okay. Well.
It's all you, Cedric.
Well, Cedric goes up because he's the godly person.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to report that well, your husband ran into a bit of trouble with some native animals, and we did everything we could, but uh, I'm so sorry. There was nothing we could do. Um, he's There's nothing we can do. I'm so sorry.
What do you mean? What happened to him? He looks awful.
Yeah, apparently there's some kind of animal that lives in the water here that just drains the life force out of creatures.
It's not so much.
It's what?
It's not so much an animal as like a big scary mosquito suckery bug thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tiny little monster, is what it is. But apparently the flooded fields are what attracted them, and there was nothing. I mean, there was no way your husband could have known that.
We showed up. We showed up before they attacked, and as soon as as soon as we had killed half of them, he was gone. So, and there wasn't. It just happened so fast. There wasn't a whole lot that we could do.
I understand.
Uh,
And she comes down off the porch and sort of, puts her hands on either side of his face. I don't know if are you guys still holding him?
Nah, I think
No,
we set him down. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she's on, very sort of slowly and laboriously because she's so heavily pregnant, on her knees on the ground and puts her hands on either side of her face, or on either side of his face, and just sort of looks at him. I understand. It's not like we didn't know that life here was going to be hard. This is a wild place where people have to make their way, and we were building this farm together to have a life. This is what I have.
Well,
I appreciate what you did and what you tried to do.
Do you have anywhere to go? It's probably still not a safe place for you to be. Do you have family in town or?
No, we moved here to start a life together. We used everything we had to pay for passage here and buy and build this farm. This is what I have, and this is where I'll be. I'll do what I can to keep us going.
Well, I mean it sounds like the this at least perhaps you might want to avoid the field flooding in the future. It seems to attract them, so I don't know if there's other things you can grow or if there's I, I don't know much about farming, but according to our friend Bedwyr here, that's the water that they seem to be attracted to.
Well, in that case, I'll try growing something different. Yeah. And she sort of looks to Silas. I think there are enough friendly folk around here, yourselves included, I suppose, that I should be able to get by and figure out a new way of being here. And Silas is sort of nodding back, like, yeah, you're getting the impression, like, he's older and he's been here for a while. He told you that he's been farming outside of New Seychester almost since this was a town rather than just a naval fort. So he's been around and he's seen things, and it seems like he might be able to help her, or that he's willing to.
So Lucanus turns to the wife. Honestly, we were just passing through, but is there anything that we can do right here, right now, today to make you a little bit more whole?
I mean, I hate this, but I'm not in a way to be able to take care of that body myself. And I don't know. You said the flooded fields are dangerous. I don't know what I could do about that myself. But if there's anything in the way of those two things that you could help with, I'd very much appreciate it.
Could try alternative agricultural methods.
I'm glad those are words that Bedwyr knows in common.
Well, however you introduce the water to your fields, probably be a good idea to cut that off and try to get things to drain as quickly as possible so you stay safe.
I'm assuming I know a little bit about water engineering. I assume you have some kind of check dam further up. We used to build some damming technology in the caves when I was a kid. You want me to? I can go smash that if you want. I've got this hammer right here. It's pretty good for dam smashing.
I suppose, August had diverted a little stream to flood those. If you think that'd work, I'd appreciate it.
Y'all want to come?
Aye, but if I'm going to keep helping you, I may ask for your help in return afterwards.
Well, that seems only fair. I mean, you've given us a lot.
We did just have to fight these things off together. So I think we can definitely owe you something.
This group is real good at quid pro quo.
But we don't get impeached for it.
I mean, I'm peached every day, so.
Problems. They're censoring us.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go destroy this dam, and then, Bedwyr, if there's anything we can do for you, I mean, your assistance in this has been invaluable. I don't think we could have survived quite as well against those creatures if you hadn't been there. I know I was completely useless in that fight.
Or survived at all, really.
Well, we can talk more about that
You
after.
were completely useless. No one's completely useless.
Well, I couldn't save that fellow from dying.
Well, you did the best you could. And sometimes your best doesn't work. But you tried, and that's what counts.
And sometimes when you walk into a battle, things are pretty much already done. There's nothing you can do, no amount of involvement you can have that'll turn the tide.
Hey, you're right. You're right.
What
Don't
do you
beat
say?
yourself up over it, okay?
All right. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Kay, pats him on the back. She doesn't really know what to do, but is like...
Look
There's,
at that, Cedric. They don't completely hate you.
yeah.
Cedric gives a kind of a stiff nod. Just like, I'll do better next time.
Cedric, there's no reason to feel like your shirt looks right now.
Oh, my shirt!
that's not on that shirt.
This country, I didn't factor in the need for laundromats in a new world.
What's a laundromat?
Oh, it's this lady that used to live near my parents' house.
Oh, that was her name?
Mm-hmm.
No. She had a really nice rock.
Yeah, she had a really nice rock in the stream, and I built this check dam below the stream. That would dam up the water, and then she would wash the clothes in the stream, and beat them against this rock. Yeah, Laundra of the long line of the proud Matt clan. They're
last time you said that thing about your cousin having a rat farm, and this time you're describing this lady, like, you're gonna get a letter from home that you're just gonna, like, not be able to read.
I'm building way too much of a backstory for myself.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun fact, in Ecuador, many people actually still wash their laundry like that. Like, it's really common to see people washing their laundry here.
All right. Well, you guys want to go together to bust this dam, or
Yeah.
does some of us want to stay here and help bury the body?
Does she? Do you need assistance? Money-wise to have a funeral for your husband, or you simply need help, just creating a place for him here on your property?
We're simple folk, I guess, and I don't know that there's really a time or the occasion for something so fancy as a funeral, but I would like him to be put to rest here so that he can watch over me, us, and she sort of puts her hand on her stomach, us as we build our life here. So no, I don't think I need any money, but if someone wouldn't mind helping dig a space for him, I'd appreciate that.
Well, first, before I say this, I'll check with you, Sheryl, out of character. So, one of my spells that Peter didn't waste.
It's Fletcher's fault. He rolled badly.
You rolled badly. I still have Mage Hand prepared, which can move 5 pounds of object at a time. So if there's a place that she wants him buried, can I use that to dig 5 pounds of soil at a time to create a space?
How long does that spell last?
It's concentration. Its duration is just concentration. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess in that case you could.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right, Joe. 5 pounds isn't that much dirt, but if we want to get into the math, if we want to get into the math of how much dirt that would move.
Well, that's also depending on what is your bulk density of the soil that you're looking at, and what's your texture and your structure. But
I mean, if you want to sit there and stare at the ground while a spectral hand scoops a grave, go for it, man.
I mean, it also depends on the depth of the grave. If we're looking to do something that might not necessarily be uncovered that easily, we should probably dig it deeper.
Well, I mean, this lasts for concentration, so if I can use this to move dirt, I can do it to whatever specifications we need. And that way no one is in the hole with a shovel trying to dig it.
Oh, 5 pounds is more than you lift with a typical shovelful. So, I mean, that's a lot more.
Yeah.
I would bet, with a typical shovelful, you get about, 2-3 pounds of dirt.
Yeah.
I would think. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's about a double shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's super efficient.
Well, okay, so let's think about this, because it's a spectral hand about the size of a regular person's hand. So it could pick up an object that weighs 5 pounds, like a book or something. But that's not what's happening here, because the dirt is not a single object. So basically you're asking a single human hand to scoop.
So it's not like a post hole digger.
No, it's not a post hole digger. It's not, and it's not even the volume or the width of a shovel. So you could do that, but it's going to take you a while.
Well, rather than still somebody doing it, what if I have the hand use a shovel?
Just make Joe dig it.
Like, why don't you just give it a shovel?
Well,
Hey, how much
I'm
of a
going to
shovel
be.
weigh comes up pretty quick on Google. Thanks, Google.
I mean, I can stay back and dig the dig the grave. Although,
Yeah, if it won't work, that's fine. I was just trying to creatively use magic.
No, it's
But if it
great.
doesn't work, that's fine.
It could. It says the weight of a shovel typically ranges from 3.3 pounds to 6.6 pounds because they had it in kilograms first. So
Why would
yeah,
anybody know that?
it was on an OSHA website. So
All right, you do.
There you go.
Luca.
so yeah, if you had a very light shovel, then the hand could use it and then also pick up some dirt with it. But yeah, so yes, I'm not telling you can't. I'm just saying that it might take longer than you think.
Well, Fletcher, it's time to dig yourself out of this hole.
I didn't say anything yet.
No, that's true. That was all just asking me. He didn't say a word.
That's true.
Well then, yeah, then it sounds like it would be equivalent to, so if there's someone willing to dig, then I think someone would just dig. So, so I won't say anything. I'm gonna go to the irrigation spot.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it'll all go faster if you can't do the magic. If you can't do the magic digging yourself a hole will go faster if we're all involved. So, I mean, we can all go bust up this dam and dig the grave.
I feel like 2 people is an ideal number to dig a grave. I'm not
Yeah,
speaking from
I don't think you can
experience or
fit
anything
very
like that.
many more people and shovels in a grave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and,
I mean,
and 2
in-
means
in
you can have
order-
a really nice Shakespearean dialogue. So.
in order to dig a grave, technically you need 3 people. Or sorry, in order to dig a grave, technically you need 2 people, only one of whom is going to do the work.
Kay can be one of those people not doing that work.
Boy, I love a volunteer.
All right, let's all go. Let's all go deal with the dam, and then we'll come back here and dig a grave.
Wait, who's
Yeah.
grave?
Sounds like a great to-do list if I've ever heard one.
It's continuously getting restructured.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Aye, sounds good.
Okay.
All
We
right.
start walking where she told us it is.
Okay.
Time to dam the dam.
Time to dam the dam. Yeah, so you guys head back to the flooded field where you were before. And are you just searching for the place where the irrigation is happening?
Can we see? Do we see if the fields are constructed in any way that, like, if they were really easily disrupted, like if there's any kind of like berm around them to create a lens for the water, that like something really obvious that it's like, oh, if you like kick this in, water would flow, like excess water would flow out of it quickly as well, because that like can we see a simple like drainage solution to the fields?
Okay. How about some perception checks?
Okay.
Woo! Rolling dice.
Woo! I can read my character sheet on my
Yeah, you
phone.
can.
Oh, I'm not gonna be useful for this one. I don't care what my bonus is because I just got like a 2.
Woo!
Woo!
I have a 15 total.
There's water.
Okay.
Ooh, I got a 16.
You got a 16.
So
I got
I had a
Yeah.
5.
5, 19, 20, 21, 22.
A 24.
I got 24.
yeah.
And what did you say, Bedwyr?
I had a 2 plus 3 for 5.
Alrighty. So Kay, you get a really good lay of the land. Cedric and Fletcher, you catch almost as much detail as she does. Lucanus and Bedwyr are bored because there's nothing to smash right now.
Punching each other.
Very on the edge.
I see a large rock over there. I want to pass it back and forth.
Sure.
Like a
They're
medicine ball.
just sitting over there playing catch with like a 5-pound rock.
Oh my god, that seems it feels very on brand that the 2 barbarians are the ones that didn't.
And then Fletcher's like ethereal hand is just trying to slap it away because 5-pound rock.
Yeah, so Kay, you see both at one end of the field, there's a little stream that seems to be running through the grasslands out here that ran sort of right against the edge of where August built this field. And so there's a diversion space over there where he like diverted some of the water from the stream into these fields. But yes, there is also a little bit of like an earthworks around them. They're a little like recessed into the ground. So yeah, if you were able to sort of like create some channels, you might be able to get that water to leave. And also if you were to block off that place where he diverted the stream.
Hey guys, look at that stream over there. At the edge of the field.
Great synthesis, yeah.
So if all you smashy types go over to that, you can cut off the flow of the stream into the field, and I'm gonna walk around the perimeter of the field and knock out some of these walls around it, and hopefully that means we can not only stop new water from coming in, but get the water that's in the field now out really quickly.
Cedric's gonna wade into the creek and kind of get out into the middle and try and like start like pushing the dam down.
Okay.
It's double duty. It's rinsing his shirt out, and I just assume there's no way that
There is no hope for your shirt.
Okay. So,
washing the cold water.
Approximately how big is this dam compared to like your standard enemy?
It's not very big. Like I said, this is like it's a little like rivulet that just sort of makes its, you know, it's basically the luck of the draw kind of thing for this little stream to have been making its way through the grasslands. So it's not a very big stream. I don't even know that it's big enough that Cedric would be like wading into it. Like it's pretty narrow and pretty shallow. It's just enough that like with this little bit of a diversion, it slowly sort of had created standing water in the field. So I'm not even going to make you guys roll. Like it's very easy to take this apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Lucanus just sort of kicks the dam as hard as he can. Not like one of those soccer kicks, but like one of those sort of pushing / stomp kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Like
this
breaking
is
down a
Sparta
door,
kick.
Not like yeah, this is Sparta kick.
He's curb stomping it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Bedwyr will take his axe to it.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys make pretty short work of it. Is there anything else?
Especially Cedric, because he's short.
Oh.
I'm gonna do something more useful than give bad puns all night, I promise.
Peter's like, those jokes are never gonna get old.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys would like to do while you're out here in the field?
Well, I mean, we have to divert that water too, right? Or
Is-
did just
So we've diverted the water so we've removed the dam, so the water's not coming into the field anymore. Is there also a dam keeping the water in the field, or is it just like?
Yeah, like I said, the field is sort of like he basically like carved out a depression, and then diverted the water into that depression. So there's not like it's not like earthworks or berms that he built up so much as like this field is just a little lower in the ground than everywhere else. But if you dug some channels and sort of sloped them and whatever, it would probably drain out eventually.
You could get it out into the drier soil next
Right.
to it and get the water to drain out.
Yeah.
That's what Fletcher's been walking around doing. Like, just like every like 20 feet or so, just stop and just like dig. Like probably using like the end of his quarterstaff, just like digging holes through the soil.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't take you guys more than like 15-20 minutes to accomplish all of that and feel like you're reasonably sure that the water is not going to keep sitting in there. Yeah.
okay, all right.
Well, while this is all going on, Bedwyr will every so often sort of be looking up and glancing around, scanning the horizon.
Mm-hmm. You want to give me a perception check?
Sure.
No. Should I do one too?
It depends. Are you keeping watch or are you doing anything else?
I'm just sort of like vigilant, but I also got a 3 this time, so
Just look at all these fun rocks to kick over.
Hold on. How many rocks?
I rolled a 4 plus 3 for a 7.
You don't see anything. You're trying to keep a lookout on the horizon for those things you're looking for. But you're also still like kind of unsure about these weird people that you met today. And like, even though you've now gone through a little bit of battle with them, which definitely earns some points for them in your eyes, like you're keeping a pretty good eye on them and trying to figure out who they are and what they're about.
Nancy,
Fair
what
enough.
did you just say?
I think Nancy's saying something.
Oh, is she?
You're real quiet, Nancy.
I would also like to keep watch.
She's keeping watch.
Am I back?
Nancy is also keeping watch.
Yes. I can hear her and Ryan can hear her.
I'm keeping watch, yes.
I can hear her, but she is a little on the quiet side.
I can
Just
I can
yell
hear
it.
her, and she's on the quiet side, and it sounds like she's like been fast forwarded.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, and then it's catching up, so it's speeding through sometimes. That's all.
That's just how Nancy talks, y'all.
That is true too.
It's that Yankee upbringing.
Yeah. I can't hear her at all. But Nancy.
Oh, again?
Yeah. If you're also keeping watch, Nancy, can you give me through the eyes a little more detail about like what exactly you're keeping watch for, or like basically, are you looking in the fields? Are you looking along the horizon? Like, what's the what sort of keeping watch are you doing?
I bet we're scanning the horizon for
I will
That's what I figured.
yell and also speak really slow.
Okay. She said she's going to yell and also speak really slow.
Okay.
Okay, Nancy, what are you scanning the horizon for?
Maybe she can't hear me.
I don't
wait.
know. Nancy, did you...
I just heard-
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Did you do a perception check?
I feel like I can hear the things that she said like 2 minutes ago, maybe. I'm not sure.
Can you hear me, Nancy?
Y'all should call me back. I'm gonna hang up and then you
Okay.
call me back.
Okay.
I did. I got a 13 plus 5, so whatever, 7, 18,
She-
18.
She got an 18.
She had an
You got an
18.
18. Okay.
Oh, Sheryl heard that.
No, I didn't hear that. I
Oh.
heard the things that she said to you guys like 2 minutes beforehand, because I heard her say the and stuff.
What even is
And
this?
could she only hear... Was she not hearing some of us? But then...
Yeah. Was...
Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador.
Yeah.
Ecuador
She said
check.
that Ecuador check. She said that VC on her phone keeps like logging her out, which is fun.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it sounds pretty similar to the bandwidth issues I was having last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, if she gets back, I can tell her what she sees, but. That's
Everybody look at my kitty while we wait!
Oh, Mina.
Nobody.
She seems very content with that.
Oh yeah, she's super into it. Yeah. This is what you get for trying to play with the dice.
We had to put our cat on a diet, and so earlier today, I just looked over and she was sitting there forlornly in front of her food bowl, just staring at it.
Yeah. Yeah, Mina, she doesn't, she's not that, I wouldn't say, she's not that patient for her food. She lets me know when she's not being fed sufficiently. She'll wander around and find something to knock over or something like that. She never does that unless she's like,
Yeah.
It's dinner time.
Yeah, my cat just screams. Like,
I think there might be a dogfight happening out in the yard right now. I hear a lot of barking and snarling.
What?
You could
or
do
just
with
a
that.
dog. Maybe there's a dog and a wild animal. Like,
Sheryl, try calling Nancy back. Or,
I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The only wild
Okay.
animals we have around these parts in
Did I?
appreciable numbers are antelopes.
Antelopes. Okay,
Yeah.
it sounds like Nancy's going to bow out because she's struggling with the tech. Sorry
Okay.
about that, folks.
then so Kay was looking around.
Kay was looking around. So Kay says, "Hey guys," and she sort of points out to you that as the water level is going down from all the places where Fletcher kicked the berm in, you can sort of see she's pointing out some like weird stuff that doesn't look like dirt. you can sort of, if you want to, you can give me like a search check to figure out more details about what those things might be.
A what check?
Is
A
search?
search check.
Oh, search. Okay.
I thought search was one of the ones that we like did away with to do
No.
perception check. No, okay,
Search is different. So perception check was spot and listen.
got
Yeah.
Spot.
Perception
Spotted.
is
We got rid
basically,
of the spot.
yeah, perception or spot and listen is like looking out at the horizon or like listening down a hallway in a dungeon. Search is like, I'm going through this chest, or, you know, I'm getting up close and looking for details on something.
I got a 17.
I
Got an
have
16.
I got a that's weird. I got a 19 and then I have a 2 bonus. So
Nice. All right. Yeah, so basically everybody, when you look where Kay is pointing, you see that there's this sort of like anomalous bits in some of the areas where like where the water had been sitting, and as it's draining away, you can see these like small like it's almost like a strip or a square or a raft, you might say, of these little ovoid things. Yeah. I don't know if you want to do something about those or not.
Yes.
I mean, we're all entomologists here. We all know what needs to be done.
Smashy.
Burn them.
Burn them. Burn them with fire.
Yeah.
Wait, are they edible?
Everything's edible once.
Everything's edible once. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, fine.
You're the one who ate like a weird piece of a random sea plant that you didn't know anything about.
I have, you know what, to be completely honest, I have always wondered what like an insect egg omelet would taste like. Like if you were to crack an insect egg and just very lightly scramble it up, and then fry it and then anyways.
Well, Joe, now's your chance to try it in D&D and make Sheryl invent what it tastes like.
Yeah, with eggs that presumably are large enough to do that
Yeah.
easily, without collecting like
Yeah.
many.
This is a sturge omelet is easier than a mosquito omelet. You are correct.
Yeah.
Now I really want to throw it out there. What is the largest insect egg? Like, what is? Does anybody happen to know off the top of their head? Like,
Oh shoot. There's a guy in my department who does stuff with that, and he just gave a talk on it, and it was really interesting because he was talking about how like they thought that like so he's an Evo Devo person. So they were looking at like whether or not insect egg size and shape sort of track together, and also whether or not they track to like the body size of the adult. And the conclusion that he's reached so far is that the activation of the genes that determine the size and the shape of an insect egg actually have more to do with the environment in which the egg is laid. So like insects that have parasite or parasitoid tendencies, or also insects that lay their eggs in water, have that life history, or that life history characteristic is a better predictor for egg size and shape than other things that they might have hypothesized. So I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I remember seeing that study. There was like a review that they published recently that was about egg morphology and its relationship to those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bedwyr, did you actually say burn them like in character?
I
Wait, what? Burn what? The little bits of dirt?
Those are sturge eggs. They can stay viable even when dry for several years.
He knows the word viable and common too. Your vocabulary is exceptional.
I'm a quick learner to
Yeah, Cedric's like, I don't know what viable means, but it sounds bad. I can pick up from context clues.
Sheryl, are sturges common even outside of Arda?
No. So basically what your character was able to figure out last time when you were investigating the dead farm animal bodies is that like you knew, or you've read enough because you've read extensively, that there are definitely animals on multiple continents that consume the bodily fluids of animals. So like you're familiar with the idea of like vampire bats or mosquitoes or things like that. And so Fletcher had in fact suggested that this could be something like that. And then Fletcher's suggestion of that is what prompted Bedwyr to realize that this was probably the work of stirges. So,
Okay.
Yeah, you were not specifically familiar with stirges. They are endemic to Arda, or at least to this southern portion of Arda. But this is a first time for you to encounter them. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, well, it sounds like we should destroy these things if they turn into more of these problematic beasts. But Bedwyr, is there a way, if I took one of these eggs, a way to to preserve it so that I might study it and make observations of it, since we know it becomes this completely different beast? I'd like to add this to the information I've been writing down about the things we encounter here.
Oh no.
If you take some sort of thin fibrous material and put the eggs on it, fold it up and keep them dry, they can remain viable for quite a while, and just put them in water and they should hatch.
So as long as I keep them dry, it'll be okay, and then I can destroy them when I'm done.
Yes.
Hey, 80s operates under gremlin rules. I just realized that.
Well, Fletcher takes like a couple eggs.
Oh boy. Eric wants to know if you're trying to get a stirge familiar.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would be pretty sweet, yeah.
I mean, I would.
I love the idea.
That'd be very difficult to control, I feel like.
I love the idea that you're just like, oh, that's cool, I'll just keep them in my backpack. And it's like, that's fine until you fall into a creek, and then you're like, oh no!
All I can picture is like there's so many sci-fi movies where like, yeah, he's gonna have it in his backpack until something terrible happens.
Right.
Like, oh god.
Do you want aliens? This is how you get
Something
it.
terrible doesn't even have to happen. He just has to get kind of wet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe Fletcher's just somebody who sweats a lot.
Although maybe for a cat, that is something terrible.
No, I'm putting them in. I have various like vials and stuff, so they go in a vial with a cork, and then are in my backpack.
Okay.
So I'm Cedric is just like going around and like picking these up. Are there enough that like can Cedric carry them all? Like, is it?
I mean, they're not like ginormous. Yeah, you could probably like get an armful and have cleared the field. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
So, Lucanus is going to help carry a few as well, because he can just sort of like twist them. And along the way,
start getting the fire going.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, as soon as you get the fire going, Cedric's gonna start just dumping them on the fire.
I don't know why, but I suddenly imagined them popping like popcorn.
Yeah, I assumed they were gonna pop.
Wait,
yeah.
Can we get a pot to boil them, because it's food. Why waste food?
Oh. We had a rat in there.
Yeah.
Cooking with Lucanus.
I hear Cedric's family raises the finest of rats. If we can get one of those rats, we'll be eating good.
No, actually, it's not my family that raises rats. It's my second cousin who raises the rats.
Are they organic, free-range rats?
And actually, he was raising it's a fur rat breed, so not really much for meat. I mean, you don't waste them, but
Oh my God.
Fur rat.
Yeah.
Are you wearing any rat fur, Cedric?
Yeah. My boots are lined. They have with rat fur.
Oh my God. Nice and toasty. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric says they're hypoallergenic rats.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Only the finest.
Only the best rats.
Mm-hmm, only the best rats. But no, you can't raise free-range rats. They run away and they get into stores, and you have to raise them in cages. It's a rat CAFO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no free-range rats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only rat capos. Good to know.
But they're
Only
well
rat
treated.
capos.
Yeah. No antibiotics or anything like that. You know,
Sure. Those haven't been invented yet, so of course not.
Yeah, we would use antibiotics if we had them because we care about animal welfare and we don't let our animals just die when they get sick.
Right.
Honestly,
Yes.
this. If we're talking about things that could be really useful in this situation, this entire debacle could have been avoided with pyrethroids.
Oh my God, yes.
I proposed we magically modify the stirges to make them sterile, then raise them in mass and release them.
That's a great idea.
You can do that, but there would be a lot less XP earning because you'd just be sitting in a lab all the time, not smashing.
Hey, that's good experience.
Well, that also
Yeah.
that also raises a question I've always had about D&D. Like, who would earn more XP? The guy who's, if like the world involved D&D, like who would earn more XP? Like the guy who flies over farm fields spraying insecticides and herbicides all over the place, or an MMA fighter?
It really depends on your DM and how they choose to calculate stuff. Because each tiny insect killed by the insecticide probably is not worth much CR or XP on its own. But the MMA fighter does not actually kill its victims, so it really depends on how your DM or your god chooses to count XP. Or we hope the MMA fighter doesn't kill their victims.
Right.
Yeah.
They got all that the MMA. You've got all that role playing that goes along beforehand. You know, when they like all that talking and stuff like that. So there's XP there. Role play XP, right? Yeah.
Tested intimidation rolls.
Yeah.
All right, so let's head back and
Wait, did you cook some of these?
burn or boil these things.
He wants to go get a pot.
I mean,
You don't have a pot
Lucanus-
on you?
I don't. Lucanus is the kind of guy who like basically like eats trail food wherever he goes, because that's kind of what he's been used to most of these years.
You could try just tucking them into the coals. You know?
And some foil.
Yeah, and some foil. Like a baked
All right.
potato.
Sure.
Or if you peel
Well,
off
I
the,
mean,
you peel off the
eggs-
wrapper a little bit and stuff in some chocolate chips.
Well, I mean, eggs you typically either boil or fry. You don't really roast them over a fire.
You don't.
Peter, we are going to have to cook eggs sometime. Because now I am curious.
Now I kind of want to know, because like they've got their shell is semi-permeable. So like, what would happen if you stuck an egg in the coals of a fire? Like, would it just explode?
It's gotta just explode. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
no-
that's what happens.
Now.
That's what happens when you put an egg in a microwave. So
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a gas stove. If you guys want me to ruin my stove right now, I will run downstairs. Throw an egg.
I have a fire pit. I'll just put something in the fire pit.
I could go
Or
get a
science.
candle. We can do it. We can live stream it.
That would be excellent.
I feel like what would happen would be I would burn myself. That would you would see the egg would get really hot, and I'd be like, "Ow!"
Just like that. Make sure you put on eye protection first.
Yeah, I have some of that.
Mm-hmm. I put on a pair of goggles from Lab every time I want to cut an onion or a shallot or a jalapeno.
Yep. They help with onions so much.
Yeah.
I
I've
have
had too many bad takes on that.
I have stolen more latex gloves than I would be comfortable with my advisor finding out about, because I have an appetite for habaneros.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure your advisor told me recently that he is super into watching live stream D&D podcasts, so I think you're very in trouble.
Really?
So the thing is, there are more downloads from Laramie than just me. So you
Somebody.
might be watching.
Latex gloves are super cheap. Joe, do you need me to buy you a box of latex gloves?
No, I think I can pick them up from the grocery store from now on. Okay.
Eric says that Bon Appetit's video. Bon Appetit made a video on 59 ways to cook an egg, and one of the methods is an egg cooked on coals.
Okay, all right. So then let's just cook the egg on coals.
The chat also thinks that we should make stirge pemmican or stirge bannock.
Sturge what?
Pemmican or bannock.
Those
Which
are
are two
both.
like travel foods.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know either of those things.
Pemmican is Native American like lemnis bread, I guess. It's a terrible way of comparing that, but yeah.
Yeah. It's a skillet bread, right? It's a flat bread
Oh, okay.
over a stone.
No, wait, is
Right?
pemmican maybe
Pemmican's sort of a mix, like a Native American and fur trader trail mix kind of deal.
it's like jerky
Yeah.
kind of.
So I'm looking up. Sorry, I'm looking up bannock.
Yeah,
It's a flat bread.
Bannock's,
A
Bannock's
paste
like
of
deep
dried
fried.
and pounded meat mixed with melted fat and other ingredients.
Yeah.
You
Bannock.
can actually, around Vancouver, there are bannock food trucks you can go to.
Really?
Quite tasty.
I feel like we could make bannock. Bannock is a pan bread. And
Round
pemmican-
flat loaf. Yeah.
and pemmican is a jerky or like a
So it's like a paste.
formed jerky. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You-
we could make a cooking video where we make those out of bugs because entomophagy.
Okay, hold up, y'all. So the word bannock comes from the Latin word panicum, which
Which is a grass.
yeah. Well, actually, it means baked dough. But yeah, all the
Oh,
biologists.
pan. Yeah.
Yeah, all the biologists here will recognize like panicum is it's a genus
grass.
of grasses. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Every time the plant people in my research group say something about panic grass, I always imagine the grass just being like, ah!
Yeah.
The things we do to pass field work time.
By the way, the reason why
Well, Joe's gone.
Yeah. I'm getting
oldest.
one syllable from Joe every 2
Wait,
seconds.
I think he's
Yeah.
back. What, start over again, Joe?
Now he's frozen.
Lost video feed.
Well, I'm going to talk about panicum etymology a little bit.
And then
more.
there were three.
Yeah.
Got some pemmican where they take the meat and they'll mix it with nuts and dried fruits and stuff to make a sort of trail mix with it. It's quite good as well.
So we take Lucanus's trail food that he has. We mix it. We crack open some sturge eggs. We mix whatever the goo is inside
Goo.
that
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, and then we get a big flat stone.
Mm-hmm.
I
Are you
like to
actually
imagine-
doing this, or?
I like to think that we're all trying to avoid having to go back and deal with the awkward funeral that we're about to throw.
No, we just dig the hole and leave.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to.
Yeah.
I feel like we shouldn't keep her waiting too much longer.
Yeah, let's go. No, yeah, we go back after they've all
I was-
burned.
Yeah. I was thinking more Lucanus had just carried his food because anyways, this was a lot more awkward than I intended it to be. No, so I was just expecting Lucanus to want to save some of the eggs for food because in the Art of War, Sun Tzu makes a pretty big point out of living off the land whenever possible because it gets really, really expensive and time-consuming to, send supplies back and forth. So
Lucanus is a big Art of War fan.
he is a mercenary.
All right. So
So
Bedwyr and Cedric burn all the ones that Cedric has collected. Lucanus and Fletcher do whatever it is that they do with theirs. And then we
Okay.
leave.
Okay.
yeah,
And then you leave. And what are you doing now?
Walking back to the farmer's house to go dig that hole.
Okay.
And I think
yeah.
as soon as we walk up, Cedric's gonna start looking around for a shovel.
Okay.
Bedwyr will help
Yeah,
with that.
Lucanus is too.
So
No,
you-
we're gonna ask the homeowner if there's a shovel.
Well, so you see when you get back that Danella is not outside right now, and you don't see August's body anywhere, but you do see Silas kind of working off to the side, kind of to the side and a little behind the house with a shovel already. And it looks like he might have pulled, like he's got the shovels that he was able to collect, sort of leaning up against the house, and he's digging.
So he's got how many shovels? Because we want to know how in each other's way we're going to be for this.
It looks like he's got one, and then there's like one other like regular size shovel, and then like a garden trowel.
Cedric takes the garden trowel.
Bedwyr will grab a shovel, but ask for instructions.
Okay. Wait, well, Lucanus what?
Lucanus takes the shovel, walks over the hole, and is, can I be of help?
Lucanus and Bedwyr both reach for the shovel at the same time. What are you guys gonna do?
I don't. Oh. Bedwyr's pretty impassive, so he'll just let it be.
Okay. In that case, Lucanus, you grab the shovel.
Yep. Then I'm gonna walk over to Silas and ask him if I can be of any help. Can I be of any help, Silas?
Yeah, please. It'll go faster with two, I guess.
Yeah.
You can see he sort of, he did the thing with like the tip of the shovel before he started, where he like scraped out the dimensions, so you can sort of start working on,
So Lucanus starts digging himself a hole faster than Cedric in a normal social conversation.
All right.
Cedric, what are you doing with that trowel?
Cedric's just gonna throw the trowel to the ground because it's too small to do any work with, and he's gonna go see if he can find some scrap wood to make a headpiece out of.
Okay.
A headpiece?
Mm-hmm.
A headstone?
Yeah. Well, it's not a stone.
Oh, a headstone! I thought he was gonna make a fancy hat.
A headboard.
No, a headboard.
A grave headboard.
A gravestone. A grave marker. Grave marker.
There we go.
What are those things that they put your name and date of life and accomplishments on?
What wood, Cedric? And what kind of wood are you looking for?
Just anything that's lying around looks like it's scrap. I figure it's a farm, so there's just piles of crap everywhere.
Yeah, they've got a barn. You can find a piece of wood in there pretty easy.
All right, yeah.
While all of this is going on, Bedwyr is going to be continuously glancing to the horizon every now and then, and even though Nancy's not here, he'll still sort of try to surreptitiously stare at Kay now and then, as if he's trying to ponder something important about her.
Interesting.
Not that any of us probably noticed that.
Yeah, we don't notice at all.
Well, Fletcher, you're not doing anything, but everybody else is occupied.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you are doing something.
I'm probably looking at the eggs in my vial that I just collected. I just finished taking notes about the other weird plant that I collected, and now I need to start taking notes on, the life cycle of this new animal.
I was gonna say, Ryan has given me so much behind-the-scenes work because I have to keep emailing him with details of all these things that he's researching that you guys find.
So we did also kill some of the stirges with martial weapons. So there are adult bits that you could have picked up too.
Oh.
I wasn't.
Are those? I guess while you're doing that, if those are nearby, I'm assuming you did it right. You were on the farm, near the fields when it happened, or I guess I was too, but I wasn't here. I guess while the digging is going on, I would go back to that area and not collect the parts because I assume they were probably a little too big for me to really be collecting. It's not like the eggs, but taking notes and sketching whatever I can on what's there, Now that I have these eggs and I can see a life cycle.
Right. Yeah. Are you using your cantrip to take a photograph, or are you just drawing yourself?
No. Yeah. It's purely it's doodling. I figure because they're doing that and there's kind of nothing going on, so I'm not worried about anything exact right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Bedwyr will also, you'll catch him here and there glancing at Lucanus's ears, as if these are things that he's not used to seeing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So it doesn't take too awfully long for Lucanus and Silas to finish the grave, and at this point, Danella sort of sticks her head out of the front door and Silas lets her know that it's ready, and he starts moving in towards the house and asks, "Is anyone? Could anyone help me bring him back out? I managed to get him in there myself, but might be a little more dignified."
Lucanus can help.
Yep,
You've been voluntold.
I feel a lot of failure about not being able to protect your husband. So if there's anything I can do, I can certainly carry him out.
All right. So you and Silas go into the house, and you can see that Silas brought August's body into what was probably their bedroom, and laid him out, and she bathed the body a little bit and put him in some nice clothes, and combed his hair and everything to make sure that he looked presentable. Yeah. So then I guess you guys, you ready?
Is this a place where we do coffins? I don't know what the burial rituals are.
I mean, there's not necessarily a whole lot of time to make one, unfortunately. So.
All right.
Yeah, she didn't sound like she wanted anything like too much of a to do. She was like,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll respect her wishes, and he just sort of helps Silas get the body out of the house and drag it to the hole.
Okay. Are you guys gonna do anything else?
kind of feel like once he's lowered into the grave, we probably just split.
Okay.
We gotta.
Do we don't want to fill the grave back in?
So we have to be here for the whole funeral?
I mean, you're gonna leave a pregnant woman to refill a grave?
I mean, Silas is obviously staying with her.
As the body's being lowered and the grave's being filled, Bedwyr will sort of hum a somber, sort of deep, somber dirge-y, like dirge-like sort of tune.
You're not going to Keen for us?
Not yet.
So the head marker that Cedric has made is it's like a piece with like a cross piece up top, like it's a kind of a simplified hammer,
Okay.
with like a peg through a hole, and he's gonna pound that into the ground, like right at the head of the grave. Just like it looks like a T, basically.
Looks like a T.
Mhm.
Great.
But it's a hammer.
Yeah, it's a hammer.
All right.
You know, he might have an ulterior motive there.
I mean, that's my holy symbol. I don't know what what god he worships, but
You didn't ask?
Miss Annie.
no, I didn't. But I mean, she can make her own headpiece if she wants.
Lucanus bows his head mournfully as the funeral progresses. He doesn't really have much to add. He's not normally on the mourning side of death, so he just doesn't really know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's normally the one causing it. He's normally the one causing the pain, not the one experiencing it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
After we're all finished up here, I could sure use your help refilling your end of this agreement.
Yeah, we'd be glad to offer you any assistance we can. We appreciate your knowledge and your fighting skills in this unfortunate situation. So we'd be glad to give you any help you need.
Definitely the least we can do. And based on what has just happened today, you will probably run into something else out here that we have no idea what's going on. So I imagine we can learn a lot from you while we're out here.
Well,
And we would also like some input on some of our other objectives while we're out here. So just questions about things you might have seen, or
well, that's the thing. There might be something out here that my people don't even know what it is.
Oh, really?
oh, this
I-
sounds exciting.
My cousin Raybert was out scouting for the clan. He came across some goblins. We know what these are. We fight with them all the time. They had something else with them. Something taller, much taller and larger. Taller even than our people. They were heavily armored. They looked somewhat goblin-esque, but he was a bit far away. Couldn't be too sure. The chief asked me to scout for them, but we have no idea what they are. Have you ever heard of anything like this?
Everyone can make for me a knowledge local or a knowledge history, or what other knowledge do you have?
Let's see what my modifier is.
Oh, I just got a nat 20.
Ooh.
That's a 19 for me.
I got an 18.
Marvelous. Okay.
Why are all of our
Bedwyr appreciates all your
rolls?
good rolls.
Why are all of our rolls this good when not in combat?
Hey, this is important.
And what would Kay have rolled?
I mean,
We're not rolling for her on this.
Alright. I just
rolled
figured
an
local.
11.
She's the only one that would have local knowledge.
Well, it's not actually local to Arda knowledge that's important here. It's actually Lucanus's local to his home place local knowledge that's important. Cedric, you have no idea what's going on. You've heard of goblins. They're pretty ubiquitous around the globe, but you haven't really encountered them before. Fletcher, this sounds a little concerning to you. You're familiar with the lists of goblinoid races that have been recorded around the planet of Lacides, and you think you might know what this is, but you're a little hesitant to say. Lucanus, it's like a punch in the gut. You hear this description, and all you can think is the orcs that wiped out your people.
yeah. I am so sorry. Yeah, let's Lucanus sort of looks back at Cedric, Fletcher, and Kay, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna need to help this guy out, because if this is what I think it is about to get very, very bad for their clan.
What is it, some kind of super goblin?
Kind of.
Yeah, you can think about it that way, but they're gonna need some help with this.
Maybe it is best I bring you back to our chief. Tell him what you told me and what you know of these creatures before we formulate a plan.
Yeah, I can help. I've seen them before.
All right. How far is your? How far is your town from here?
I don't think we discussed that.
How far had you
too
been
far.
walking? Yeah, how far had you been walking before you encountered them?
It's about a day and a half.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
I was taking it pretty slow though. So maybe we didn't swear.
No, I appreciate slow. I can't keeping up with these giants is so difficult. So,
Could always give you a piggyback ride, Cedric.
I stopped for a picnic and had a nap.
Oh my god.
Well,
yeah,
should probably get started then, I guess.
yeah, we're prepared for a couple of days out in the woods, anyways. So, we can leave now, unless anybody has any objections.
It will give us an opportunity to eat those eggs.
Wait, you kept some of those?
I thought you did.
I didn't keep any of them.
Lucanus holds up a small satchel full of stirge eggs. It's free food, man. You never refuse free food, especially out on the trail.
Oh, okay.
Lucanus lives by the grad student credo.
Optimal foraging strategy.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
All right. Well, Bedwyr will start heading out in the right direction.
Okay. This sounds like an excellent place for us to take a little bio break.
Yep.
Yeah, so the PCs managed to get rid of any lasting remnants of the stirges in the farm field and make it so that the stirges won't come back. They helped Danella Timber deal with her husband's death, and hopefully she'll be soldiering on from there. And they are on their way to Bedwyr's tribe. Plan. So yeah, join us back here in like 5-ish, 10-ish minutes. We'll be back, and we'll see what happens when the PCs meet their first indigenous tribe on Arda.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Go.
Well, it sounds like we're back. Hope everybody had a good break. Yeah, so you guys are walking on foot, following Bedwyr back to the place where he left his clan to go on this scouting mission. And as he stated, it took him maybe like a day and a half to get to where he met you, but that was because he was sort of taking not a leisurely route per se, but because he was scouting, he was making S's back and forth, right, to try to cover a lot of the countryside. He wasn't walking in a perfectly straight line. So as you guys are walking in a perfectly straight line back to his clan, it's maybe like a half a day's travel. So I would say that you probably reached the clan like, with all of what happened earlier in the day, you're probably reaching the clan like just about the same time the sun's going down.
So I imagine we're like talking to Bedwyr as we're.
Yeah, so I mean the spices that are rat spices, the best ones I find are you get a little bit of sage on there, and you know.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sage is one of my favorites. I feel like it's really underused as a spice. You know, everybody's always into their rosemary or whatever. But yeah, if I can get a good sage, you know, sage is really hard to come by in the caves where I grew up. And so, you know, it was always a real treat around the holidays when we'd get some shipments of
I love sage so much.
Sage rubbed rat meat.
If I couldn't get sage, I'd go into a sage rage.
Sage rage. That's really good. I can't believe you're making jokes in common. That your grasp of the language is so good. I wish I could pick up languages that quickly.
Like I said to the disembodied voice in the sky earlier, I'm a quick learner.
Did you really just do the thing where you complimented a non-native speaker on their accent?
Yeah.
Cedric, wait a minute. So you guys have access to spices but not vegetables.
Yeah. Spices are a dry good. They're easy to store and ship long distance. They last for like a couple of years if you keep them well sealed, whereas vegetables go bad quickly.
Have you heard of canning?
I don't know. Does canning exist in this world?
Dude.
I mean, there's also like preserves. You can like
I figure
dry
we're more
out
at the
carrots.
like fermented foods level, you know?
I mean, there's pickling. The ancient art of pickling.
Sure.
Lucanus.
Lucanus.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
So Kay over there, she says her people are called girls, but you have 20 ears. What are your people called again?
I'm an elf, and quite frankly, there's not a whole lot of us anymore.
Where do you come from?
I come from a continent called Udivan. It was I was not expecting this question, and I do not know where my backstory is.
Oh no!
It's across the sea from here.
It's to the west.
It's 2 days to the west.
Oh, it's more than 2 days, but it's to the west.
Oh, it's a few. Okay, I do not. It's a few days to the west. Here we go. Yeah. And yeah, I come from a small village on the continent of Udavan, and it's west of here. A little bit of a journey by sea. Yeah.
Do gods live there?
They used to. Krellin and Yondala. And yeah, they it's no longer the place it used to be. I'll just put it that way.
Cedric pipes up. So, did you interact with the gods here before the loss?
I'm a follower of the nature god myself, but it has been a while.
So we never really interacted with the gods on this continent before the loss. Do you know anything about? I mean, it's a well debated topic among the theological circles in where I'm from about the loss. Do your people have any theories or knowledge about what happened with the gods and why they disappeared?
Aye, but when we get to our camp, I'll introduce you to our wise woman, Ishbel. She will know more about the answers you seek.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I'd really appreciate discussion with a fellow theological scholar. That sounds.
Oh, hey, look, there's my village right there. What good timing.
Oh, Lord. No, that was all great. I love it. Yeah, so as Bedwyr points, you can see sort of a collection of structures, and it's definitely apparent even at a distance that these are a nomadic people, because they're sort of they're structures that are definitely structurally sound and have utility, but they also are made of materials and constructed in such a way that they can easily be dismantled and packed up and carried somewhere else. So lots of sort of like tents and lean-tos and things like that. Yeah, so you are on the outskirts of the village, and you can see the sun is just about set, but there are like some torches and things lit, and there are still people moving around.
I'll as we start approaching the village, I'll let out a call in Ibixian, just to let my people know that I've returned. Wave to sentries that I see, and say to these guys, "Follow me," and you may be stared at quite a bit.
I was gonna say, even though you're waving to the sentries, they sort of, there's two more Ibixians, kind of the same size and disposition as Bedwyr, sort of approach you guys as you're entering the camp, and sort of not like threateningly put their weapons out because they know Bedwyr, but sort of just have them ready and sort of point at all of you and start speaking to him in a language that you all don't understand. But basically, Bedwyr, they're asking you, who the heck are these guys and what's going on?
I'll explain it.
Lucanus looks over at Dan, what's your character's name? I am so sorry.
Bedwyr.
Lucanus looks over at Bedwyr and sort of puts his hood down, which is something that he doesn't do all that often, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm used to getting stared at, and in this context, it's fine."
Bedwyr, is there anything that we should do or not do so that so that everyone will feel more at ease and we won't, upset anybody? Since it's clear, We're the outsiders here.
Keep your weapons away. Act with respect. Know that you're guests. Speak when spoken to, but especially in the presence of the chief. He's the boss. Do not cut him off. Do not speak to him condescendingly.
Got it.
Got it. That's good advice. Yeah. Good advice in general.
Mm-hmm.
You're guests here, and not you specifically, but the outsiders in general are not particularly welcome.
Yeah, well, I understand that. So when are we going to meet the chief?
Well, I'll explain to these sentries sort of what's been going on. These are 5 people here at my invitation, and they have some information that the chief would want to hear, and as well as possibly some questions for Ishbil, the wise woman.
As soon as you say the thing about having some information for your chief, they sort of nod and put their weapons away, and they know you, they trust you, like you have basically the same job they do. So, but yeah, so they sort of split and let you guys walk past them. But it's incredibly obvious to you guys that they are staring. They're staring quite a bit at Cedric, but they're also definitely staring at Lucanus.
Everybody that's staring at me, I wave at.
You're doing a lot of waving, buddy.
Yeah, I'm like both hands, like a princess on a parade float.
The queen wave.
Yeah, Kay and Fletcher surprisingly don't seem to draw that much attention. Like, even though these people, like, you guys are obviously strangers, they don't really seem to pay much attention to the humans. It's the short one and the one with the pointy ears that are really remarkable.
Cedric likes to think of himself as remarkable, so that works.
I'm sure he does.
So I'll lead them through the village to the chief's dwelling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Lucanus is obviously uncomfortable with all the attention, but at the same time, he knows what kind of bad is coming.
The chief's name is Bistun Cregach. Refer to him by his full name, unless he instructs otherwise.
Is there any prefix like Mr. or Your Honor that I need to know about?
Not officially, but it won't hurt. Likes to be a bit flattered, this one does. Alright, let's go in.
Alright, so you sort of, do the thing where you sort of ask to enter the chieftain's dwelling, and you're permitted entry, and you come on in. So you guys see standing before you, 6.5 foot tall Ibixian, an imposing figure with thickly muscled arms and long curling gray horns. His black fur is covered in bleached markings like those on Bedwyr's fur, but even more intricate. His brows come low over his eyes, and he stands with an air of commanding whatever space he's in. He wears simple enough clothing, but he's also sporting a thick gold torque around his neck and gold caps on the ends of both of his horns. So first he speaks to Bedwyr in your language. Bedwyr, what are you doing? Who are these?
I have returned on my scouting mission. These are an elf, a girl, and I can't remember what these other two called themselves. But they are from the new town by the sea. They have information about the creatures you sent me to scout for. They are strange and odd. One has an excellent taste in rats, but they may be of help for us. Do not seem nefarious.
So of course none of you can understand this, so you just sort of hear them conversing back and forth, and you see the chief sort of snort, and he's got his arms crossed, and he sort of looks down at all of you, although I guess he's almost the same height is, or Lucanus, I can never remember how tall you are.
About 6 feet, I
Okay,
think.
yeah. So he's looking down on all of you, and in common, he now says, information. What information?
Tell them what you told me.
Well, your honorable chief, Easton Predech. That's how it was.
Viston Kreger.
Yeah.
Easton Predech? That.
That's some.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll spell it just because. Biston Kreguh.
Yeah.
What?
It's Biston with a B as in boy.
Okay.
Or badass.
Viston what?
Kreguh.
Viston Kreguh.
Sounds like Welsh.
I got to look up all kinds of fun Gaelic words and names because Dan
Yeah.
chose Gaelic.
Yeah.
Just to make it easy on everybody.
Yeah. It's the troubles you're having. The creatures that Bedwyr described to us sounds like something sort of similar to goblins that's known from other lands, like places that we've come from. It's a large creature that we call an orc.
He sort of nods slowly and says, Rybert described them as orcs, Rybert described them as goblins, but bigger, and almost like they were in charge of that band. He didn't get close because he did not know what they were.
Yeah.
But you know these things? They're from where you're from? Did you bring them?
No, we generally people do not associate very much with orcs. Some orcs are normal folk, but others sort of form bands that specialize in nefarious acts, and they sometimes do join together and control other beings such as goblins, and so they can be a problem in many different places, not only here around your home.
They can be a problem.
If I may, Fletcher, I think I probably have some information that's a little bit more germane to this conversation.
Germane.
So,
Germaine. The
relevant.
only barbarian to ever say
I was gonna
Germaine.
say,
Yeah.
I just threw the words germane and nefarious. You guys are using all the $100 words.
Lucanus is not a standard
Hey.
barbarian.
Yeah.
All right.
Check your biases
So-
about barbarian.
Yeah.
Yell input too.
Yeah.
So, Lucanus takes off his robe and lays his weapons down and folds the robe under him and sits cross-legged on the robe and explains.
As you take off your hood and stuff, you can see the chief, like, there's a physical reaction. He sort of changes his posturing a little.
Yeah.
He's definitely listening intently to you.
In my clan, it's customary to discuss. Major threats amongst allies unarmed. So, this to me is a sign of great respect and letting you know that I'm here to help. I'm not sure if you guys have any rituals yourselves, but this is mine, and it's what I'm most comfortable with.
We appreciate
So-
your we appreciate your respect. None of the Hunanyar go anywhere unarmed, and he sort of gestures at the horns. But we agree that discussion in a peaceable manner is how things get done.
Yeah. So I come from a continent called Udavin, and my town is called Yathlun. And um, we previously we lived in a small village that had maintained peace for a long time. We um, a lot of us were musicians, poets, um, artists, and a lot of us dabbled in magic, and that's sort of how we made our living. And we lived a lot. We lived around a lot of other people, a lot of other peoples, and we were peaceful for the longest time. And then the loss came. And previously, we had, there were always criminal elements, and we had a sort of alliance among the various peoples in the region, and orcs, gnolls, humans, a couple others. And when the loss came, there was a lot of there. With that came a lot of problems with agriculture. We couldn't cast a lot of shortages, and we had previously relied on the orcs for protection, at least certain clans of them, and orcs are, as Fletcher said, orcs are a very diverse people. There's a lot of them who want to make a good, honest living, but a lot of them, when they're faced with great difficulties, they have a tendency to form raiding parties and take what they can get. And a lot of them are very fierce fighters, very physical. Some magic users, but not many, and a lot of them aren't. A lot of the ones that do aren't powerful. So, one thing that I've noticed, one thing that happened around our civilization is that they do have a tendency to team up with goblins. They're sort of like they're sort of like attack dogs to them, and the goblins to them are something that they'll send in to kind of weaken a lot of the fighters, used as cannon fodder to exhaust, whatever fighters are there, the strongest fighters, and then they just come and clean up. They're terribly efficient.
Terrible. What do they mean to do here?
That's a good question. I don't know. If you're seeing a lot of them being secretive, it could just mean that there's a new arrival and they're looking to stake out some land here. But it could also mean that, they. So Udavin right now is pretty much lawless. I made my living as a mercenary and assassin over there. And I came here to get away from that. And if they're coming directly from Udavin, they might assume that that Arda is kind of the same way, lawless. It's very protect yourself or be killed. And if they're still stuck in that mode of thinking, they could be causing problems. They could cause problems for you. But I can't tell you what they're up to.
Well,
When
you
you
say
said
they're good fighters, we are good fighters too. Let them try to cause trouble.
when Lucanus said assassin, Cedric was like trying to make eye contact with like Fletcher and Kay. Like that's the first time he's like I've heard mercenary before, but assassin.
I also really appreciated that you used the term cannon fodder, even though there are no cannons.
Well, I didn't know the correct
Church canon.
terminology.
Yeah, church
so
canon.
I'm assuming that the phrase cannon fodder came before cannon, and the gun was named after the fodder.
Yeah, well, see,
I don't know.
On Univin, there are these large ruminants that we
Yeah,
feed,
yeah.
We called cannons.
Is that creature now also?
And and if you stand behind them when they poop, you become fodder.
Mhm.
So sure, let's go with that.
Yeah.
That's how you get it on your shirt there, Cedric.
Is it that obvious?
They also had some questions about our gods there. Would you be willing to let them speak to Ishbel, Chief?
Their information has served us well, I think, and I would like to speak to Ishbel as well, because we may need some counsel on what to do about these things, these orcs. Let us go talk to her and see if we can come to an arrangement.
For what it's worth, and Lucanus is still sitting on his robe, cross-legged. For what it's worth, this is, I mean, I don't know who these guys are, but they a lot of these people killed everyone a lot of the people who I knew and loved were killed by orcs. So I'm willing to stay here for as long as I need in order to help you guys out, because I don't want you guys going through the same thing. So yeah.
He's just sort of gonna nod, and then he just walks out of the room. Like he's going off, Bedwyr, in the direction of where Ishbel lives.
Follow.
Follow
That was
me.
going to be my next question. Should we stay here? Should we follow?
Yeah.
Lucanus, make sure you do not put your hood on in the presence of Ishbel. She will be very curious about you, I suspect.
Yeah. Thanks for the advice. And he just sort of gathers up his weapons and gets dressed, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, earlier when you took off your robe, I was like,
He has a lot of weapons. I mean, let's just be honest here. He's pretty much just like clothed in killing implements. So
I see you've been shaving the farmer as well.
wow, guys. Yeah, so you follow behind Biston and Bedwyr, and they lead you to another sort of lean-to thing structure. And Biston goes in first. Are you guys following in after? Yeah? Okay. So you go inside. It's not an especially large room, so you're all sort of very close together. And it's not especially brightly lit, but inside you can see a female Ibixian, much older than the two you've met so far. Her body is stooping with her advanced age. Her fur is bright white, so she does not have any of these bleached markings that you've seen on both Bedwyr and Biston, and the guards that you saw when you entered the camp. Basically, everyone you've seen in passing has some sort of, brown or black or somewhere along that gradient colored fur and has these bleached markings to a greater or lesser degree. But this Ibixian does not, because she has white fur. She has yellow eyes and gray horns, and her body, in addition to, again, simple clothing, She is adorned with necklaces and bracelets, and just sort of strings of beads made of stones, seeds, carved pieces of bones, wood, horn, etc. And she turns and looks when you all enter, and she and the chieftain have a conversation for a moment, which, again, Bedwyr would understand, but I'm not going to talk to myself. So eventually she'll turn to all of you and in common say, "You've shaken our chief, which is a hard thing to do. So it is my pleasure to meet you."
Well, we are very happy to be here, meeting with you all today as well.
It's an honor to meet a scholar such as yourself. We've been told that you are very wise, and we're very honored to meet you.
She smiles and sort of bends down to you and says, "I am not a scholar, and it is only those who are foolish who would claim the title of wise for themselves, but you are most kind. And do I sense that you are also a follower or a vessel for the gods?"
I strive to be, yes. I follow a god of my people, Moradin, but I've been led to believe that there were other gods here um, long ago. Our gods, when I was before I was born, our gods left us. They abandoned us to a trial that we are still as a people trying to overcome. All peoples that we know across the world are facing this same challenge of survival without the gods. We call this event the loss because we lost the gods. We lost our connection to the gods. And Bedwyr has told us that you have experienced the same thing. And I was praying that you would be able to tell us what your people know or believe about the loss, and your experiences with it. Any wisdom or insight you have would be greatly appreciated by my people.
Make a diplomacy check.
That's
That was a lot more respectful for Cedric than he normally is.
No, it's so well.
that's because it's a fellow holy person. That's a 14. She's not just some plebe like you guys.
She looks
There's
at you.
the Cedric we know and love.
She looks at you for a long moment, Cedric. And she looks at Lucanus for a long moment. And she looks at Kay, and she looks at Fletcher. And then she turns back to Cedric again and says, "We too have felt this loss you speak of. It is a thing that happened, as you say, before any of us now living were born. But we have lived with this in the stories of our people, of how it was before this time, and also what it may be like in the future. What exactly do you want to know? Why are you here?"
What did the gods do for you guys?
Biston snorts and stamps his foot and looks a little impatient, and she sort of puts up a hand and says, "Why, child, they did everything. The gods are the ones who breathed life into all living things. Obadhai and Alana are the ones who first clothed the land in the plants and the animals and filled the seas with the fishes. They have done all of the things, and they gave us our magics, and they gave us our lives, and they gave us our ways of being."
Do your people
Lucanus just sort of nods.
do your people tell stories about why the gods left? My people believe that Moradin left us as a test, that uh, this is a hardship that my people must endure to grow and to become stronger. Um, but I I don't know why the gods of other people would do the same. So many of the gods of the people that have heard of are more gentle. They coddle their people, and to to me, I understand Moradin. I understand his motivations and his teachings, but I do not understand what is happening to his brothers and sisters. Um, and do your people tell stories about this?
Make another diplomacy check.
Ooh, that's only an 8.
Total?
Yeah.
She sort of takes all that in, and we do not, at least not among the Ibixian people, try to explain the things the gods do, for we are so small and we are their children. We cannot understand the things they do or why they do them. We know that we feel this loss, that we are lesser without them, and she sort of stops. You all are very odd. This group of you from somewhere else, Bedwyr. This group of you from somewhere else, and I can see, I think, you are not even all from the same place, are you?
No.
It's kind of the funny
No.
thing about choosing your own family.
No.
In that case, no what?
I was just gonna say. In fact, we're united more in our goals than our pasts.
In that case, and especially that united by your goals seems to have motivated her to speak. In that case, I think I should tell you something, but it is not a story of why the gods left or how they left, but rather a poem of our people that we hold close as hope for the future. And she sort of sets herself up to recite. Get your pencils ready. Lo, and the time unseen began, when Lord and Lady forsook this land, but unmarked maid foretold a spring, when to these lands new winds would bring good-hearted strangers, sincere and firm, to solve the riddles and call them home. I do not know much about you all, who Bedwyr has brought to us this evening, but you resemble in my heart the strangers in this poem, and I cannot help but wonder if maybe you are here for the god's purpose.
It may be possible, but I don't think any of us would. I don't think any of us would try to claim the title of a chosen one of a god. So perhaps time will tell.
Eh, let's see how this works out. I feel like the gods have already made their choices.
Um, yeah, I would not presume to know Moradin's mind. Um, but if this is the challenge that he's laid before us, then we will do our best to rise to meet the challenge. Um, and if that means solving riddles or fighting orcs, um, I
I'm down to fight some orcs.
I I believe we're all interested in that. Um,
Biston is nodding his head vigorously. It looks like Bedwyr is doing the same, and they both seem very eager. And Ishbil holds up a hand again and says, "I am not surprised to see so many warrior hearts in a room in the Hunanyar's camp, but I am here to provide a counsel." And she takes a handful of, bones and clay tiles and sort of scatters them on a rug before her and says, "But in this case, with the things that you have said of these creatures seen roaming with the goblins, and the times being what they are, I would counsel, at least for our people," and she's giving Biston a very pointed look, "that it is perhaps wiser at this point to consolidate our people and our power to protect ourselves. We roam these lands and share them with the goblins and the gnolls, but if these other creatures, and maybe even more we have yet to see, are invading, we may need to prepare ourselves for these incursions. This is unlike anything we've experienced before. I understand your eagerness to fight and to protect yourselves, but sometimes it is worth watching and waiting and learning first."
Well, that's consolidating power and resources is pretty much what my people failed to do. And when you have a bunch of very, very small targets, that's good for survival, but not for defense. And one thing, I feel like this might be unsolicited advice, but one thing that I think is really important to keep in mind, when you guys have problems like this, let everyone fight. Don't just restrict it to a couple people who can do a couple things, because they'll figure it out. I know that they look brutish, but they're smart and they'll adapt. So, always use a diversity of tactics. And I say this, I say this having been on the failed end of it, the bad end of the stick.
Biston nods sharply and says, "Well, all our people fight, but still, counsel is always appreciated." And he nods towards her. And he turns to you, Bedwyr, and he says, "Bedwyr, you have traveled and scouted and brought us back information greater than we could have hoped for. Are you ready to take another journey?"
Aye.
"In that case, I will send you with your cousin to the other clans to share this information with them, and we will call a council of the chiefs to discuss these problems further."
I shall begin preparations immediately.
And Biston's gonna leave at that point.
Bedwyr will turn to the group. It has been a pleasure to meet. It has been a pleasure to meet you.
Just,
Slipping the accent a little
been
bit.
an honor.
it was an honor to fight alongside
It's been
you.
an honor working.
I look forward to seeing you in
It was
the
an honor
future.
working alongside you, and hopefully we meet again.
And with that, he'll duck out of the tent.
Ishvil's still looking at the four of you who are left. And she says, "You are far from the settlement, yes?
Yes.
And it is now dark outside. You should stay the night here. And while you have already provided some aid to our people in the form of this information, I am curious what other sorts of aid you might be capable of providing, and in return, I may be able to tell you more of the stories you wish to know." And she sort of, leans down towards you again, Cedric. "Stay here tonight and be our guests, the first of your kinds to be granted such an honor among our people. And in the morning, we will see if I have not got a task for you."
We'd be honored to accept your hospitality, and I myself have some skill in the healing arts. If there's any way I can assist, I'd be glad to do that. Thank you again for your wisdom and your hospitality.
This is greatly appreciated.
So gonna
I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
you guys,
is
you
there
guys
like a
wanna know,
guest?
you guys,
Roll hospitality.
Yeah.
Is there a concierge?
Yeah.
She'll direct you towards, there's sort of a part
Lucanus,
of... Oh, Lucanus, what?
Lucanus gestures over to Cedric. Can we get someone to clean his shirt?
She sort of chuckles. But she directs you. She doesn't leave her little lean-to thing. But she directs you toward an area of the encampment where a lot of the sort of the young warriors without families of their own live. So you actually wind up staying basically in the same area where Bedwyr sleeps. Kay off with the female Ibixian warriors, and you all in the same area where Bedwyr sleeps. Is there anything else you'd like to do this evening?
Not for Fletcher.
No.
Not really.
We're gonna have to ask her about the birds and the fish eventually.
Yeah. Cedric is gonna spend some time praying before bed, but that's pretty much it. He's gonna so I assume Cedric sees Bedwyr like in the main tent, and is like, hey, do you have any saged rat? I really want to try. If you guys have any local recipes, I would love to get in on that.
You see Bedwyr's eyes just widen. I'll be right back.
Cedric made a cooking buddy.
Yes.
Maybe he'll learn how to gut a vegetable.
Yeah.
Are we gonna make a nature check cookbook?
Oh,
We'll have sage rubbed rat in it.
Oh my god!
If you all watching would like us to make a nature check cookbook, I feel like the farther you guys adventure through Arda, the more possible that's going to be. I feel like eventually we could make that a thing.
Oh yeah, no, and it can be oh no, I love this idea. Let's discuss it in private. I have ideas.
Oh, fantastic.
I have
We'll
ideas.
return with some rat to Sheryl.
Excellent.
I suppose we all have to probably eat something, so I guess Fletcher might end up eating rat.
Would Fletcher be open to eating rat?
I mean, it's the food being offered, and It's not like Fletcher's like an old person stuck in his ways. He's a young guy who's
He's not
there.
like
He's
a
like,
boomer or something like that.
yeah, he's not a
Tip.
boomer,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's
Mr.
here
He's
like
so
his
young.
whole thing. This whole
Lucanus-
trip is about
Lucanus is down to
learning.
anything.
Like literally, the whole thing's about learning. So why wouldn't he like?
Right. Oh yeah, I'm sure Lucanus is happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Lucanus is a goddamn garbage disposal. He ate random bug eggs from earlier, so
Yeah. Cedric's like, no, you have to eat it slower. You have to savor it. Like the kidneys are the best part.
Oh, if it's anything like guinea pig, it is impossible to eat. There's like no meat on it.
Just like sucking off the bones, I imagine.
If I ever
Yeah.
had an opportunity to try guinea pig, I totally would.
Mhm.
It is very difficult to eat. There's like no meat on it. I got like nothing off of the thing.
Ugh.
Oh, it's like eating like pomegranates. It's more about the activity than the
Yeah.
It was,
actual.
yeah, it really was, yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, does anybody have anything else before you go to sleep?
nope. Lucanus is obviously going to be very traumatized during his sleep. I don't know if anyone else is going to notice that, but just as a reminder, sleep does not go well for him, and he always polishes and sharpens his weapons before bed.
Do your nightmares include lots of noise?
What?
Do your nightmares include like you making noises?
Occasionally. So,
We can. Oh well, yes, Eric. Elves don't technically sleep, but just roll with it. Just roll with it.
Yeah.
He has quote unquote nightmares during his trance.
Yep.
Cedric and Fletcher, you can make a perception check for me if you'd like. It's gonna be a pretty high DC though, because you'll be asleep.
It's only a 6.
That's a 19.
They
Whoa.
were super beat up after that very long, traumatic, dramatic, dark day, and also the excitement of Sage Rat and hanging out with like new random people. So neither of them noticed. But yeah, this is the first time that you've slept in sort of like a common space with these people. So.
Oh, right.
They did not. Yeah, before you'd been sleeping in your room in the marked bird, so they hadn't had an opportunity.
I didn't
yeah.
even think about that.
Yep, but
Nice.
neither of them heard you.
No.
Well, in that case, the next morning, Bedwyr will be going off with his cousin Rybert to the other clans of the Ibixians in order to start gathering this council of chiefs to discuss the orc incursion and the information that you guys have provided them with. And you all will be playing around the first table, or you all will be playing around the same table for the very first time when we're all in St. Louis.
Oh, that's
True.
2 weeks away.
It's only 2 weeks away.
Well, actually, no. I'm leaving in less than 2 weeks for St. Louis, but anyways.
I know. So
I'm
soon.
excited. I'm so
Oh my
excited. I am so excited. You guys did a wonderful job. Thank you ever so much, Dan. I cannot thank you enough. You've been a wonderful first special guest for us.
You've been wonderful host, and it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed last week. It would have been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, your storyline was amazing, and we loved learning about and talking about mosquitoes and your research with you. And yeah, 2 weeks from now on Saturday, November 16th, at the same time in the same place on the internet or live at the Urban Chestnut Brewery's Grove Beer Hall location in St. Louis, Missouri, you will be able to watch Nature Check, Joe, Nancy, Ryan, Peter, myself, and not one but two special guest entomologists will be hanging out and playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's gonna be great.
Woo!
Yeah. So, so please check us out then. Is there anything else anybody would like to plug?
Other than the posters at ESA. So once ESA gets over, I am going to be tweeting both my SciComm talk, the slides, and the information on my poster, as well as some more details about kind of where I'm going with some of this toxicology work. So check out my Twitter account after ESA.
Ooh, all kinds of good
Right
stuff.
now, by the way, right now it's locked because I'm going through some very, very rough midterms, and I'm still tweeting occasionally, but I don't want like the distractions of the replies or the retweets and stuff like that. So after ESA, I'm going to open it up at least till finals, and then after finals, hopefully I'll be able to do a lot more SciComm.
Nice. And speaking of Twitter, if you don't follow Nature Check on Twitter yet, you totally should, because I'm going to be administering some of the some portions of the audience participation portion of the live Nature Check show via Twitter. So like via polls and things. So please follow us on Twitter so that you can participate in the polls and help me build the game that everyone will be playing during that live event. If no one else has anything else, then I guess we will say good night for the evening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.